Well, thank you all for coming. I'm Aslan. My wife is going to be in there. Lord led me to have these preparedness meetings. There's a lot of people asking through the business these past few months. Have really been asking a lot about preparedness and about water and food, everything. The hunger is on. Thank God. These people will want to prepare and get ahead on things that they don't have. So I felt water is the best thing to start with. That's what we really need most. We're so used to going and just turning that tap on and the water just comes out, just like going and turn the switch on electric. That's why we need this. And whether you get the water from the county or from a well, if you're in a development, we're out in the boonies with a septic system, it all matters. You know, people that live in towns with city water and city sewer, I believe what's going to happen is the grid's going to go down. And yes, all these municipal places have the generators to run their pumps, but that will run out, the fuel will run out, and then there'll be nothing. So without water, you can't flush in the towns that have sewage. So you're really in a predicament. Even when we live out in the county, we have county water. We went, I think it was 5 or 6 days after the hurricane, the power was out, and we were able to get water for those 5 or 6 days, but then they shut it off. But thank God we were able to fill everything up, all the jugs and everything up that we needed. Every year God has us shut stuff down to try out different scenarios. The first year he had us shut the power off and shut the water off for 8 days during the Feast of Tabernacles. That was an interesting thing. I figured, okay, I'm going to fill up these buckets with the spigot and put them in the bathroom, so I got some flushing water. Well, it didn't take long before that flushing water went. And then you got to carry buckets, and people do that too. They go, well, I got a pond out there, or there's a creek down the road, I can just get water from there. Nah. You know what it's like to carry buckets of water the long distance? And then they could just put it down the toilet. So figuring out a way to get water, you have to. You have to. So we'll start with this. Water is life. Know your resources and how to secure them. Now these threes, everybody talks about these threes, the rules of threes. 3 minutes without air, 3 hours without shelter, 3 days without water, and 3 weeks without food. Now there are exceptions to these. Of course, people can live longer than 3 weeks without food. You know, the 3 hours without shelter, those are the extremes. With the 3 days without water, you probably take a little bit there, but that's a really short time without water. You better know where you're going to get water from before anything happens. And when it all happens, it's too late. This I thought was interesting. How much water is in our bodies? The brain, 83%, kidneys, 83%, lungs, 85%, the eyes, 95% water. Gee, the heart, 75%, the muscles, 75% water. The blood is 94% water. We're made up of a lot of water.
That's why I get dehydrated.
So what could cause us to have to secure an alternate water resource? Well, there's a lot of stuff. Hurricanes, but a lot of it has to do with power outages. Because the ground, it's in the ground, or how do we get it out of the ground? So these are a few things. Grid down. The grid down situation would be the most likely reason for needing to seek a new water resource for short or long-term use. Least likely, but still viable, would be water contaminations due to broken water mains, human error, or terrorism. Now you got physical attack on transformers that go shoot them up. Some of the big transformers, it take a long time to get those because we get those imported like everything else. The cyber attack on the grid, that's really getting up there, and a high possibility is going to happen. You know, all these guys, these hackers, matter of fact, China and Russia are already in our grid system. All they have to do is their thing to shut it down. The coronal mass ejections. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it's a possibility. Or the EMP or nuclear war. That'll wipe out all of our electronics. Grid down won't knock out all of our electronics. We just won't have power. We'll still have these phones that we can look at, but they won't work because we can't charge them. But in the nuclear war, EMP, nothing will work. Everything will get fried unless it's hardened, and that's a whole different lesson there, or discussion, whatever. So you got a few things you can do. You got a shallow well pump. That's the cleanest water out of a well. You can't beat that. But you got to carry it. And I'll go into that a little bit further. You got here, we don't think about running streams here. If you got a bug out location up in the mountains and you're going to go there, you can do a lot with a running stream. You can make ram pumps and stuff to get your water up to where you want it, or down to where you want it. But that ain't happening here. Rain catchment is, where's my little dot thing there? I don't know where it went. You know, there it is. Get my dot. I need to start with solid surface. There it is. Get out there. Rain catchment. Now that's where we really focus on everything, on all of our water sources. Most likely, there are droughts, but most likely rain will fall. And you catch the water in rain catchment systems, and then you take the water from that, either gravity feed or pump, and I'll go into that more. And it's not so bad. Once the roof gets flushed off of the bird crap and stuff, then it's all right. I wouldn't drink it straight up. And then we have a lot of these here, ponds and ditches. Not really good. You got to go with a bucket to pick stuff up out of it and clean it up. So with a pump, getting water from the pump to its destination is a tough one. I must carry it in buckets, the old kind of pitcher pump. See, I would be that guy there just dragging. These stupid buckets. I don't want to carry these stupid buckets. Gets you thinking. Now there's a simple pump out there that you can actually charge your bladder tank with water. It'll build pressure into your bladder tank.
Explain what bladder tank is.
Your bladder tank is if you have a well, your pump pumps into the bladder tank and it holds a lot of pressure, so the pump is not always running every time you turn the faucet on. It'll deplete that in the bladder tank down to below 50 pounds per square inch or whatever that is, 40 pounds, and then the pump will come on. The simple pump will be able to pump up that bladder tank so you can go ahead and still use your faucets and everything in the house. The only problem with that deep well pump, it's $2,200 for that simple pump, and there's like a 6-month waiting period now. Now they do have it for the shallow well, same thing, you can pump up the bladder tank so you can have water at the sinks. If there's any questions at all during this, please I'm open to discussion. I want to be able to discuss stuff. If there's any questions in your head right then and there. So that would be it on, well, no, now they have these solar pumps. I haven't really looked into those much because I don't have a well, so it doesn't matter for me, but I didn't look into it. There are solar pumps for wells.
Aslan, I have a quick question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Where I live, I'm almost positive the soil's contaminated for thousands of feet deep, because I'm next to Cherry Point Air Station.
Uh-huh.
So before you do a pump, you have to have an idea that your soil area is good, or you're gonna get contaminated water, right?
Well, you would go ahead and filter it, purify it anyway with filters, and I'm going to talk about some. But, I mean, you have to have a well. Yeah, I mean, when it hits the fan, you're not going to be calling up the well digger then. I mean, you have to have a well before this happens. That's why I say the rain catchment is all the way around the best thing.
Do they have, because I had forgotten to talk about it, when you actually call somebody to have a well dug, do they actually require you to have your ground assessment, your soil assessment done before they come do that? Because now, in some places we've watched it, they have to be able to go so far down. If they can't do it. Do they do any, or do we have to?
No, they should be able to go down wherever. I mean,
We have
down
to do our own legwork to find out if we've got an issue before we.
No, they should know. So they can drill down through rock.
He's saying if it's contaminated area, unless they know about it because they're in the area, he would have to find out first whether he's got any kind of contamination or anything, right?
Generally, the only way to do that,
Yes,
the state or the county would go around and test these areas, and that's probably how you found that out. But it would be to drill the well and then test the water. You know, because how else are you going to find out what's down there right under your house, near your house? But they do, you go around and you see these well drillers out there drilling wells. What the heck are they doing along I-90, I-70s or whatever? What are they doing drilling out here? But they're testing the ground underneath the water supply underneath. So yeah, you'd have to drill a well at a cost, Lord knows how much nowadays to drill a well. And then it's not so clean in your situation. I don't know. This is the way to go. Now, it might not look so pretty to a lot of people who don't want blue drums on the outside of their house, but there are ways to hide all this. If you add the 12-hole pump to a system, see, when I put up my first, back up a little bit. After that time, I had to carry buckets of water to flush the toilet. I said, there's got to be a better way. And we had 275-gallon totes there. So during that year in the Feast of Tabernacles, I put a 275-gallon tote up and had water coming to fill up off the pipes, off the gutters, down into there. And I figured I'll just hook it up to my toilet. And I had a shower there, hooked the shower up because she bought one of these camp kind of showers, a black bag you hang up, and that's supposed to heat up the water. Well, here I said, okay, I'm going to take a shower. I put it up, and you got this little tiny hose and your little thing, and the pressure is dribbling out. You go, what the heck am I doing? I can't do nothing with this. So that was the end of that. So I had to put a shower up. However, nowadays, these valves in these toilets have to have pressure to fill up the tank. In the old days, it was just on and off valve. Not no more. I don't know when they came out with them, probably when I was young, but I didn't. So now you have to have a pump to pump the water from your totes, from whatever you're going to use for storage, to the toilets. Or wherever. And you can run the 12-volt pump off the 12-volt battery, and a 100-watt solar panel would charge that. As long as it's not constantly using the pump, then 2 100-watt solar panels would charge that.
We had 100 for the others.
Just for the water pump, I get 2 100-watt and a charge controller. And there's plenty. Now, the ponds and ditches, it's the last resort water resource. In order to save your micron-sized filters, which I'm going to go over, you really need to have good filters that will filter out everything. Bacteria, viruses, all that. But if you go ahead and you just dump this dirty water into it, it's going to clog up that filter very quickly. So you've got to go through steps. You take a screen and pour it through the screen, and you take some clothing to pour it through that to filter it. Then you can take a pool filter or a coffee filter and filter it again, and then put it through your micron filter to get some clean water. It's a lot of going through, but if you're thirsty, that's what you do. And there are life straws. The life straws are great for emergency purpose, but those filters get clogged very quickly, and then you've got nothing. So that's good for putting it in your get-home bag, your bug-out bag, something like that, the life straw. So you figure it may take 3 days to get home. And we all should have get-home bags in our vehicles, because if something happens to you and you have to walk home, hopefully you're not more than a 3-day walk from home, you need water, you need snacks, you need things to keep you going to get you home. So we carry bug-out bags in our vehicles in case something ever happens. You know.
Get home.
Whenever, huh?
Get home bags.
Yeah, not a bug-out bag, a get-home bag, just so we can get home. You know, if I'm out in Havelock visiting Al, and I start going home, and all of a sudden a nuclear or whatever happens, and my vehicle goes out, I want to head home to my wife, and she's hoping I get there too. So I need a way. I'm not going to be able, everybody's going to be crazier than they are now. And they're not going to want to give me nothing. I don't want to ask nobody for water or some crackers or whatever. I got to have it. So, and the best thing to do is be Mr. Gray with your get-home bag. Just have it like a kid's book bag. You know, get yourself the camouflage bag. You look like some kind of, you know.
Well, the thing that's nice too, I mean, I just thinking about it, even with if you had it as your last resort, like with the life straws, if you have to get off the road to travel and hit a ditch somewhere to get some water,
yes.
It's not so obvious with the drinking, with something where you'd be vulnerable to be attacked or grabbed or taking your stuff away, because you'd be a great man. Like you said, you kind of be less obvious with something small like that.
Yeah, so everybody figure out some kind of get-home bag. They have the water in these pouches and things. That's really another thing as well. But that's good to spread out. When we got to spread out, we spread out. Let's talk about other things when they come to mind. Because you got to have water. Even if it takes 3 days to get home, you're going to need water, because you're going to be putting out a lot of, you're burning calories, you're putting out a lot of water, especially in the summertime around here. You're sweating like crazy when you try to get home. You got to have the water. And it's hard to carry water, so. Now, rain catchment containers, your 55-gallon drums. The pros are, they're most inexpensive. They're about $10 a piece. Easier to handle and set up. You can throw them right up wherever you want to put them. You always want to try to get them up high so you can get gravity feeds, just to get water to put in things to drink from. And they spread out over more downspouts. If you have 4 corners got downspouts, you could put 55, or 110, 110. You know, you can spread them out in different places. And this guy has done it. He's got 2 downspouts. He's got five barrels, and he's got them underneath. Now, it's an important thing. A lot of these people, I see a lot of these pictures, and they don't have the buckets or their totes or anything painted black. As soon as the sun starts hitting that, it all turns green, because that water will algae will start growing in it like crazy. So you've got to keep whatever you have holding your water black. You don't want any light getting in. And you can build something around them and make them look nice, and he can build something around that. And I've seen them set up pretty nice. It's a bit more cost. But, you know, if you got a wife that you gotta make the outside of the house look pretty, you gotta do it, you know.
That's not.
No, it's not. Thank you, Lord.
That's not me.
The cons are more difficult to connect them together. 5 barrels equals 2 75-gallon totes. To me, you just get one. And low volume on gravity feed. If you try to gravity feed up a 55-gallon drum, there'd be less pressure in it than there would be a 275-gallon tote. So the 275-gallon totes, they're inexpensive, plus or minus 60 bucks for a food grade. Probably out there where you are, probably 120 or whatever. The closer you get to Raleigh and stuff, they go up. But you can get them around here for $60, $70 for a food grade. And sometimes you'd be lucky and actually get them black. I got one that's actually black, plastic. Wow. Less chance of freezing. The larger the volume of water, the less it takes a while to get into the center for the freezing. And the black also helps it to absorb the water. And the black helps to warm the water so it does not such cold showers in the summertime. And they're readily available. They're all over the place. You can get the ones that have had chemicals in them for 15 bucks or so. Of course, you want to drink out of them. You don't want to do anything like that out of them, but you can clean them out, wash them out, and use the water for whatever else that's the chemicals.
I mean, something like that would be good for your toilet, because you're not drinking
Yes.
out of your toilet.
Yeah, as long as it's not going to hurt the septic system. Yeah.
Then that way you're not using up the water that you're trying to save to drink.
Yep, good point. Yep. And about these, it's a little bit more difficult to conceal them because they are larger, about 40 inches by 40 inches by 40 inches. Harder to find the fittings for. Some of them come up with these crazy fittings on the bottom. It's really hard to find a fitting that'll work with them. But it can be done. You can retrofit stuff.
Aslan, quick one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you put any chlorine tabs in that?
No.
Or would you just later, if you're going to drink it, do it?
The only time I have done that is when I put water, city water, filled it up with city water, and it started turning green, and because of the plastic, it fell apart after a year. So you really have to use good plastic or good paint.
Is that the one that we just moved?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
That surprised me.
Because you could see the green on the, a little bit of the green on the outside of the water of it. It was just like,
So I put a little bit of pool shock in there and it cleared it out. But you want to try to stay away from that. If you keep it covered up, you could always add the chlorine. You can measure it up, what is it, tablespoon or whatever per gallon, teaspoon per gallon to be able to drink it. I'm not sure of that. I'm not a chemist, but they have that on somewhere on the line. X amount of bleach to make it drinkable, but also to kill bacteria and whatnot. And there's more flushing to these to clean out the food product, like the honey and the syrup and things that are in there. It's a pain to have to flush it out. But this is the way to go as far as I'm concerned. But you can go this way too. Commercial tanks, very nice. They're very thick plastic. They come in different capacities, less chance of freezing, and you're able to bury them. Around here, it's kind of silly for that because even if your pump goes out, you still want to be able to access the water, whether it's just a slow trickle or not. If it's in the ground, you can't do that. And like everything else, anything with a moving part is going to break. So a pump is going to break. So it's better to have 2 pumps instead of 1. So you should always think of having it above ground, not in the ground. We have to pump it out of the ground. And these are much more difficult to conceal, and you must use a pump if buried. That's what I got on there. And very expensive. This little guy here for 3 gallons. 300 gallons is $700 for that. And it keeps going up. Yeah, 300 gallons, that's a lot of money. But it would probably last a lot longer than the tote. It all depends what your financial situation is. So these are some ideas of rain catchment systems from very elaborate to quite simple. It's just a tiny little shed roof for this guy here. I don't know what that is, but he has 3 totes on it right there. I have a picture of that.
And you get a good, and you get a good rainstorm and have a good setup, and you can get a lot of water.
Oh, boy, it fills up quick. Quick. This is the most elaborate system. It's not for everybody because of the cost and the time to set it up, but some like it that way, no matter the cost. You got one is a collection system. Oh, here. Then you got an inlet filter. So off your gutters, you got an inlet filter that comes down here. Then you have a first flush diverter, which when the rain comes down, it washes all the bird poop and all that stuff off, and it goes down to the first diverter, which fills up with all of that stuff that's off the roof. And then the cleaner water will go down into the tank. And this will drip out, drip out, drip out, and then you'll have all, that's what they say. The bad stuff is down in here. I don't have that. And you've got the 5 is overflow. And number 6, you have controls, electronic controls over here. Then you have this treatment system. Down here now you get all this expensive treatment stuff.
And that's all powered stuff, right?
Yes,
You have some-
yes. Then you have a pump. And your backflow prevention, a flow meter, and your power supply, and your water level indicator.
But you get
That's a lot of
it's all
money.
fine and well unless you lose power and you don't have solar, then it's.
Yeah, if you have solar, and again, we don't know if panels, nobody really knows if the panels are hardened against EMPs or solar flares. Yeah, that's an expensive, but people do it. And now this is that simple one, simple system, tiny little roof, little tiny thing with one gutter sticking out, and he's got these 3 totes together. Don't look like a whole lot of water in there. But they would take it long to fill up, really, even with that little tiny roof.
Now, is he filtering from one to the other? Is that what he's doing?
No, no, those are just valves and whatever, connectors. Yeah, yeah. So anything you can do with a gutter, you know, if you put a gutter right on this cantina thing here, you'd get a lot of water off of that right outside of it. And then you know you have water. These 12-volt RV pumps are awesome because they'll shut off as soon as the pressure's up. So you go and hook it up to your toilet, to sinks, you turn it off, the pump turns off. You turn it on, the pump turns on, the pump's water. It's awesome, you know, because you don't have to worry about anything with these things. And they last a really long time. They run about $70. And that's with the little filter and the connectors and everything. So you get 2 of them, and you keep one put up somewhere. I don't think there's any electronics in these either. So you're safe in any kind of EMP or any kind of thing like that. I really don't think it's going to be, I think it's just going to be a grid down, hacking into the system. Now the filtration, you're going to want to filter your water, of course. And you can go really out there like this system here, and that's pretty much will be on the other one back there that costs so much. Well, these dome filters, and we carry these things, we use filters even to filter the city water out. Because sometimes it smells really strong with chlorine. They're just flushing these pipes out of here. What the heck are they doing? So we concentrate. We got a Berkey filter. But there's problems with Berkey filters now. This is what a Berkey filter looks like down here. And they're nice, but there's been problems with them. And you don't want problems when you got filters and you're counting on the health of your family.
Can I say something with that too?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of, and I actually had a conversation with them about it, and I did more research on it. Because the thing that, for me, that works with your filtration system is your filter. And there's been a lot of controversy I've heard about with some of the filters and stuff. But if you actually get a Berkey filter for the Berkey, you can be sure that you're getting the right one. Because a lot of the ones they've tested now that said they were comparable with Berkey, some of them are from overseas, and they're not true to that. So always do your research, make sure you get one that says that it's a Berkey filter and not one that's comparable unless you check it out and make sure, because it might not filter out everything you want.
Yeah, I mean, China's sending some filters, like these dome filters we have. They're sending them over without any lab results, lab reports, anything. They're not being tested.
And they say they work, but they don't have any proof that they work.
And then we started with this company because they're Baptist Men's Water Ministry, Texas Baptist Men's Water Ministry, and they help people get water over, different countries, I didn't say Africa, but wherever. And they do have lab results to these things. So filters need to be a maximum of 0.2 micron in size to be effective. Many filters, ceramic and carbon composite, which the Berkey filters are carbon composites, state that they are 2 microns, but they do not have any lab results to back them up. Do research.
Yeah.
I know how to read my stuff.
I know. I can understand.
On filters you're considering purchasing. We do carry and have ceramic filters systems, which I didn't bring them here for the purpose of selling nothing, but we got them. They are made in the USA and are produced by the Texas Baptist Men's Water Ministry. And they are tested by 3 independent labs, and we have these results available to go with our filters. Look on the table for more information. But if you go shopping, you go on Amazon, whatever, look at all the filters that are there. Make sure that they are lab results, because you buy something that looks good, but if it's not going to filter out what they're claiming it's filtering out, and we're drinking that stuff, and we're trusting that they made these filters that are good. So make sure there's lab results to whatever you're going to purchase. There's a lot of different manufacturers out there.
And I think that I was looking at something too, because if you don't well water, there's different things in different water where you're at. And some filters vary in price because they filter out more or less things. For instance, if you don't have any issues with any fluoride or anything in your stuff, then I mean it's nice always to have one in case you move, because the availability can be less later on down the road. But if you get one filtered out fluoride and everything else, if you don't have that, they're going to be more expensive. And so on the route of actually getting some that perhaps will work for you at the time for economic purposes, if you don't have that stuff, I mean, it's always good to level up. But if you don't have the money to, you can get a really good filter, but that you're not worried about that because you don't have that in water, then you can start that.
Yeah, like Berkey's are running $400 or $500 now, right? I mean, it's crazy. We were a Berkey dealer, but then it just went south, and so we didn't bother with it anymore.
But a lot of this, and I again this said a couple of days ago, a lot of the south of it, going south with it, and a lot of the stuff that you may see and hear about, because I've spoken to him and then I had to be corrected on my own self, was the filters that are being sold in different places that say they are compared with Berkey filters are not. They're not, and Berkey has actually done a lot of lab testing on those, and they have the proof that these filters that are stated online that say that are compatible, that they are not. So, you know, with that, that's where you can run into problems, you know, and then badmouth a very good water filter business, and it's not theirs.
Yeah, and there's a lot of those candle type filters that will fit on the Berkey. The Berkey is just the stainless steel bottom where you have your spout. This goes on top. This has 2 filters that are put down inside and screwed in. So this has 2 holes in it, and they fit together. That's the whole system. So it is the filters that screw in, and we have the candle type, and a lot of people are putting the candle type out. And so Berkey wants a lot of money for theirs, so people say, well, I'm going to save me a few dollars, and I'm going to get the cheaper one, and it ends up hurting them. So, yeah.
Just do your research.
Yes. There's a lot of research to look into all of this stuff. Well, now you're getting down to the nitty gritty of what is going to affect the health of your family, because now you're going to be to the point of drinking your water. And then the purification, if you have a good filter system, you really shouldn't have to purify by boiling. Once you filter your water, you may want to purify it if you're unsure of purity. Now, Alan, you're different. Boiling wouldn't help if it was polluted water, but the filters would. And then to give you peace of mind, even though a good tested water filter will filter out 99.999 of bacteria and extremely reduce virus, arsenic, and fluoride, you may still not have peace of mind about drinking the water. So we suggest you purify it with one of the following methods: boiling, purification, distillation, filtration, and deionization. And chlorination purification method. There's different ways but peace of mind is worth a lot. So you do what gives you peace of mind. Yeah.
There's a lot of information online too, as far as using like your bleach and your different ratios to be able to purify that and treat that. But also do your research, because bleach doesn't last like you think it does. Bleach, when you buy the bleach bottles, they're not really meant to go long periods of time. So if you have them stored, if you research on that, you'll find out that they're not as good as you think they are as far as for long term being able to purify and do your work. I learned that before.
So that's all I've got on that, but definitely open for discussion here, because that's good to have a discussion about stuff.
Yay!
That would be interesting to know how long, like bottled water, if you were planning to store somewhere, how long is good.
And something that he didn't think about. We had a friend. I discovered this many years ago. No, I may already know it. But one of the things he used to do, because he always questioned his water supply, and he was a little different with stuff. Because the sun is amazing, and so even leaving your water sitting out, if you pour water, leaving it sit out. I forget the exact term that it does, but he would sit his water out in the sunshine. Let his water, sit for a day in the sunshine, and there was something in that actually helped purify the water. There was still things that I think that was Walter. They might need to do, but if you have access right now online to look that up, there are things that you can do. But yeah, the bleach is a big one that you see online about using that. But again, the bleach doesn't last. I think it's okay to maybe wash your clothes, to maybe whiten them, even that's not a long term. We actually got 4 or 5 years ago. We actually got some chlorinated corn, like the Full Shop.
Yes.
And they're different.
Water.
Huh?
The bottled water is stored a long period of time.
It breaks down.
And all one of those pitchers has got the filter in it.